All right, welcome to Life Extension Live. I'm Dr. Mike, and this is
Dr. Crystal.
So, Dr. Crystal, I'm going to say two words, and I want whoever's watching, I'm going to say these two words, and you're going to write down the first thing that pops into your head, right? And the two words are self-care. Right. Now, as they're writing, we've already done a survey on this, right?
We did.
We already have some answers of what people call self-care.
Yes, Anne says praying, gratitude, and love.
Oh,
that's so. Nancy, it means putting people away from my life. Boundaries are real.
We're going to talk about that coming up.
We are. Oh, Judy, snuggling with purring kitty catty.
Or dogs. Dogs are good too.
And another Anne, this is Anne Fairbank, 60 years of 2 times a day meditation, eliminating harmful habits, establishing clear boundaries. There are boundaries again.
Who is this?
Holding dear family. This is Anne.
Anne, you've got a lot of good things.
Yes. Shelley, growing her own organic foods. And then Jared, no time for anything or anyone toxic.
I like that.
That's right.
And again, and this is really, these are important because we're going to think outside the box a little bit. Brooke said sleep, and that's all Brooke wrote. Yes.
She knows.
You know.
Or he knows.
It looks, I think it's based on the picture. Hey, Brooke, I think it's a female. Shay says, here it is again, less association with negative people. Mm-hmm. She even said, period. She did. She wrote, period. Dean says, Tai Chi mini exercise bike.
Oh, I have one of those. Yes, self-care. My little mini.
Oh, the one under your desk that when you're in meetings, you look like you're moving and no one knows what you're doing. Yeah. And then we have Vivian, no stress. Good luck with that, Vivian.
You know, I'm happy. You all know the real deal. Everyone who commented, because no one said bubble baths, spa day, nails. That's what you see in the media. That's what's portrayed as self-care. And maybe it is.
We're not going to say it's not. We're not going to define what self-care is. If somebody really likes the bubble bath, and then great, that's fine. But we want to think outside the box. Oh, the whole point of self-care is being good to yourself, right? And that may mean doing some things and not doing something.
Yeah, we have the official, or one of the official definitions. This is from psychologist Matthew Sacco of the Cleveland Clinic. He defines self-care as something we deliberately do. Or in some instances, refrain from doing, just what you were saying, with our own well-being in mind.
Right. So on today's show, we're going to talk about self-care, what it really is. We're going to talk about thinking outside the box, the challenges that we face, and what you should include in your self-care routine. So let's get started with this. I'm excited. I like the idea that self-care is becoming mainstream. Mm-hmm. I think it's been missing. I think it's important. It really came from a few books that were written, a few years ago about caregivers. Caregivers who were taking care of sick, a sick relative, a mom, dad, whatever, and that they need their own care. And I think that's where a lot of this kind of came from.
Yeah, I saw it growing up. My mom is a caregiver at heart. She gives herself to everyone, any one of you who know her. And we care for my grandfather. Mm-hmm. He lived with us, and I saw it where it's like, Mom, we have to figure out something here, see if we can get more help. And the whole the whole family really rallied around the efforts to try to lighten the load for her.
So I'm so glad you said that because, a lot, we're going to talk first about some challenges to self-care, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these challenges came from the fact that other family members were watching the caregiver. And these caregivers often, they would, like, for instance, one of the challenges is they would feel guilty if they ever spent some time on themselves. Mm-hmm. That's a challenge. Is that a challenge for you? Maybe you're a busy mom, a busy dad, kids, whatever is going on, and if you take some time for yourself, you don't like that.
I know, but Dana Dye, who's one of our researchers, we were kind of going over the information. And remember, she mentioned self care and the concept of we've all flown before, or if you haven't, on your flights before when you're taking off, they tell you you need to put on your safety vest first.
Yeah. Or the mask or the
the oxygen.
But I think the best too.
Yourself first.
Yeah.
Before you then go and help someone else. And I think it's the same concept.
Same concept. When I was a paramedic, they would teach us that as well as first responders. When you came up to a scene, you had to make sure things were safe first before you could actually start giving care. Because if it wasn't safe and the paramedic gets hurt, that you're not a good first responder. Yeah. Right? So it's the same thing. Look at your surroundings. Take care of yourself. I think besides feeling guilty, what about time?
Oh, for sure. Most people think that self-care involves time.
And some of it might.
It might, but this whole show, we're wanting you to think outside of the box, because there are many things that you can do or even not do. Our viewers
they were on it
in comments.
They were on it.
Those weren't necessarily things where you have to set aside an extra hour of your day. It takes no time to eliminate toxic people.
Right.
There's no time taken by saying no. You actually gain time
by saying no, and that's
by
important.
saying no. Yes. You're able to retrieve some of your time.
Yeah. Even if you talk about physical activity, if that's important to you. Your what is it called? Your Tai Chi mini bike? What is it?
Desk bike.
Desk bike?
A mini desk bike.
You are working and at the same time
finding ways to multitask.
Yeah. So there's but I will say this. If there's an activity that you really enjoy doing, and it's hard to find that time, try to look at your day, look at your week. Think of it like a budget. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be, where can I spend some time on myself? Carve that out. Write it down. Put that time in a calendar. But as we said, it's not just about time.
That's true. But I like that. Put it on the calendar. I started doing that, Dr. Mike. My exercise time or my classes, my spin classes, I put it on my calendar and I put it on my husband's calendar.
Yeah.
So he knew Mom's not going to be around.
you make sure everybody in the house sees it. I'm sure that's true. Yeah. So that I think, but by doing that, by actively writing that time down, you're saying to yourself, I matter. Taking care of myself matters. This is as important as all of this other stuff I do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I do like that. We already talked about guilt. I think also lack of resources. For some people. What do you think about that?
We have to realize that for sure. And when we say resources, I mentioned my husband. What about the single parents?
Yes.
That's in the city and they don't have those resources. And so that's where you have to kind of think outside of the box.
Yeah.
And find ways to find that time for yourself, even if it's during your lunch hour at work.
Something. Yeah. Carve it out. But that's you bring up a good point. The single parent, they could write down on a calendar some time they want to spend alone, but if there's no adult to take over for them, it's going to be pretty hard, right? I mean, that's an issue. And then you got to think, well, then I got to get a babysitter. I got to get. So we understand that.
Yep.
That's why we're calling them challenges. But self-care is so important because it's really just about loving yourself, taking care of yourself.
That doing things that will help you to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And for some of us, that might be physical. That others, it might be spiritual. Others, it might be the boundaries. And yes, throw in. I've told you I love to play golf. I don't do it as much as I probably should. That's okay. I should probably get out there a little bit more.
Yes, you should.
And if a bubble bath is something you like, go take a bubble. There's nothing wrong with those things. But self-care could be so much more.
That's right.
So let's talk a little bit. This is kind of a sidebar. Talking about the
caregivers.
The caregivers and the challenges that they see. At the end of the day, if you are taking care of somebody, I can't stress it enough. You really need to find that. In this case, I do think it is time.
Yeah.
And, we just said it's not all time. But in this case, if you're a caregiver, finding that time where you can do something for yourself, it might just be going grocery shopping. It might be going to a spa. It might, whatever that is, you really need that. And I think the only way you can achieve that as a caregiver is to accept that you need it. And then you need to have helpers. Ask your friends, ask other family members. You have to speak up.
I like that. It's about asking for help.
And we don't like to do that much.
Asking for help, sometimes it's doing research, sometimes it's speaking with a social worker and trying to identify resources that's available.
Right.
If you're bringing meals to a loved one, there's Meals on Wheels. There are different resources that are available in the community to help.
Right. And so you ask for it.
Yeah.
Right. Because you do need that time as a caregiver. Now, but I got to tell you, caregiver or not, I think everyone needs self-care. Right. I mean, that's who this show is literally. I mean, sometimes we talk about high blood pressure. That may not be for everyone. Sometimes we talk about brain health. I don't know. Maybe that's not everyone's worry. Self-care is for everyone. This really is universal.
Yeah. And if you're watching this, maybe watching our show is a part of your self-care. It's learning. Remember, it's about anything that's helping you to become that better version. Always learning, always finding ways to enhance your health and your well-being. And a part of that could be watching the silly Dr. Mike and Dr. Crystal.
Silly doctor. Why'd you go like this? What do I do this?
Did you see our 5-year show?
I do that a lot, Tony. I actually do this a lot. Okay. If you haven't seen that, go check out our 5-year anniversary.
And you'll see these moves, Dr. Mike's moves.
So let's help the audience then kind of set up a routine, right? And I think we broke this up into how we got 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of. What do we want to call these? Kind of pillars to self-care, things that are going to help to form a foundation for a routine. I don't know what. I'm trying to help me out.
It's kind of the things to keep in mind for if you're wanting to set up a self-care. If you've heard our soapbox for the past 10, 15 minutes and you say, okay, I'm convinced.
I got you. I'm
convinced.
Let's move on.
Here's some steps.
All right. So the first one that just to keep in mind, or a pillar, whatever, is
knowing that you have to be nice to yourself.
Be nice to yourself.
That's the first thing.
That's so true.
Don't listen to the lies that we tell ourselves, because usually it's lies.
We beat up ourselves.
You're alone. You don't have anyone to help you.
Listen,
I have to carry the burden. I have to be strong.
You're on to something. When you start to see yourself do that, you're kind of spiraling down in that negative thought. You stop. You identify the lie, and then you say something that's true. That's how you do it. So, like you just said, I'm lonely, or I'm always alone. Now, I'm not saying you don't feel lonely or anything, but what I am saying is, are you really always alone? Do you who identify someone in your life, and you quickly say, well, you know what? I do feel lonely. However, my neighbor Bruce is a great guy, and we talk all the time. There's a truth.
I like that. Also recognizing, and this is being nice to yourself. And all of this, Dr. Mike, this is more of the mental aspect. It's a mindset. It's an attitude, and you have to work on it.
Yeah.
So that step where you recognize the lie, you immediately stop, replace it. That is something that you have to practice.
Practice. Yes, that's true. It's not. What's natural and easy is just to spiral down with the lie.
Right. You're not a superhero.
Oh, there you go, Dr.
You don't have a cape.
Dr. Crystal, you're not a superhero.
Okay.
We did a whole show on that, right?
We did.
With women specifically. What was that? The superwoman.
The superwoman syndrome.
Yeah. So much that you feel you have to take on, and you do have a lot to do. Mm-hmm. That's not the point of it. But you have to allow yourself to be human.
Yes.
And all that. You're going to make mistakes.
I think the other thing, Dr. Mike, don't compare yourselves to others.
Oh, geez. Now that's like, keeping up with the Joneses type stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to keep up, because then they're going to do something, and then you're going to do something, and then it just goes on and on and on. Comparing yourself.
Yeah, just recognize your value.
Yeah. Everybody has.
It's good for your own well-being.
Yeah. I can't stress enough. Don't compare yourself to others. That's a bad place to go.
Yeah. And your self-care journey is not someone else's self-care journey.
Absolutely. Your life is not someone else's life. Everybody, right? We all have differences. We all have strengths and weaknesses. By the way, number 2, recognize your strengths and weaknesses.
There you go. It's self-awareness. It's a state of mind, and knowing that that there are specific things that you are just, it's your natural talent, your superpower, and your Dr. Mike's superpower may not be my superpower. So I can't compare myself to him, right? And I have to realize that there are areas where he's strong, and maybe I need to come up.
Yeah, and there's areas where I'm weak. Trust me. The older you get, you kind of become comfortable with your weaknesses.
But self-care is about not being too comfortable.
Right. No, it's just, again, strength and weaknesses. We talk about that all the time. But I think there's another flip side to it too. It's not just here's a weakness in my life that I would like to improve on. That's great. It also may be, if let me give you my personal example.
Okay.
You know me, I'm a little ADD. I do lots of little things. Yeah, a little, and I know because of that, I'm not going to be like, my self-care is not going to be, who is the Anne who meditates twice a day?
Oh yes, that was Anne.
There's no way I can do that. I know that about me. And if I try doing that and I start to fail, that's not self-care. I'm just going to start getting anxious.
That's true, right?
So I think it's also it's maybe in some cases, when it comes to self-care, being okay. That's just, I can't do that. But here's something I can do, and
like
recognizing that.
Focusing in on those strengths.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I meditate. I may be able to go about a minute.
So the other piece here with strengths and weaknesses, recognizing your triggers, people, places,
relationships. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important, right?
And not just recognizing the triggers, doing something about those triggers.
Right. Yes.
That's the self-care piece.
And we all have those things, right? Those things that kind of set us off a little bit, right? Our pet peeves, whatever you want to call it.
I'll tell you, for me, it's the news. And so my self-care is, I don't start my day with the news. Yeah. And I don't end my day with the news. I may, check in midday or at a point where, like, mentally I feel like I can handle it. Yeah. But every day, it's not too much. Good for me mentally.
You recognize
and so
that.
That's it.
I agree. I'm the same way. So first thing in the morning that I do, now for me, it's on the prayer side of things. And again, I'm not one of those in the spiritual sense of things. We call some people prayer warriors, or Anne would be a meditation warrior, right? Just really, no. I'm like a kid. Like I get maybe 5 minutes, but that's how I start. And then I'll get my coffee and maybe move to watch some news or something. So I set myself that way first. Yeah. And that's good for me.
There you go. So we're just giving you some ideas because, again, we're thinking outside of the box when it comes to self-care.
And in that same thing with triggers and stuff, we mentioned people, places, saying no. It could be powerful. Just saying no is self-care in some cases.
Very true.
Right? So again, it's not always about something that takes time or money or resources. Sometimes just learning those situations that you just know that's not good for me. So no, I can't help. And you just and you go on. Yeah. And to be okay with that.
Yes.
Right? Because you try that and then you say no, and now for the next hour you feel guilty. Right? And that's okay. You got to work through that.
You do.
Yeah.
That's the self-care piece, is trying to work through that guilt.
Right.
And maybe you need to see a professional therapist to help you.
That's self-care. There's nothing. You break an arm, what do? You go get it. You go help me, right? And if you're struggling with areas in your life, you want to improve in certain areas, you want to understand yourself more, it's self-care. Go talk to somebody about it.
Yep.
Right?
There you go.
Self-care can be physical things as well, relieving stress, right?
Yep.
Again, it doesn't have to mean you got to go get a gym membership. Dr. Crystal has like 4.
2.
2. So I was kidding. Why do you have 2?
Well, I have one with my local community center, and then I have one with the big fancy
The big
place.
fancy stuff. The
With the cryotherapy.
that you couldn't do. That's not self-care for you. But that's right. If going to a gym is self-care for you, do it. But again, it could be the simple things, getting some exercise by taking the stairs and not the elevator. Parking. Don't fight for the parking spots right up front at your favorite grocery store. That stresses you out, and then you only walk 20 feet. Park away from the mess.
That is so true, Dr. Mike.
And just take your time, walk into the... That's exercise. You're avoiding the stress. That I tell you, you want to talk about triggers?
That's a trigger for
I
you?
got traffic.
Oh.
I'm getting to the point, if parking's not easy, I'm not going to go. Robson, I can't do it. Right?
We have that problem down here in South Florida.
Yeah. Well, a perfect example is just recently a friend wanted to know if I wanted to go and have brunch down by the beach.
Oh.
And this is Sunday around 11. And I know doesn't that sound great? Brunch by the beach. Yes, it does. But it would kill me with all that traffic and no parking.
It's the traffic. It's the no parking.
Yeah, it's hard. I'd rather go like on a Wednesday.
There you go.
We're going on Wednesday. Okay.
And then the spiritual piece, Dr. Mike. I think that's an important part. And for many people, it can mean different things.
Yes. So we're not defining spiritual, what that means for you. Mm-hmm. But what I think more and more people are wanting or recognizing and wanting to recognize that there's something beyond ourselves. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just the simple way we'll define spirituality.
And just from a research perspective, because that's what we're here to give you, in the research, here are things that have been shown to be helpful for overall well-being, and having that connection, there's something to it.
Yeah. Oh, and studies show this. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's objective data,
right,
in this, and so whatever that means for you, meditation for Anne, that little prayer time for me in the morning,
definitely prayer for me.
Yeah, I mean, whatever that may be, it's sitting in the now, sitting in the moment, and just recognizing that what. The world actually does not evolve around me.
Oh, yes, right? Dr. Mike.
Right? As a matter of fact, if I were to leave today, 99% of the people, 99.999% of the people on this earth wouldn't even know. But that's okay. To me, that's part of that spiritual. It's just recognize, and you get out of yourself a little bit, right?
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. All right.
And then the last piece, and then we'll get into kind of more of the nutritional aspect of self-care.
Because I think that's important too. I want to cover that.
For sure. The last piece is really the concrete steps is creating a plan for your life.
Yep.
Taking that inventory, figuring out where you need help, things that you can add in. Is it the physical? Is it the mental? Is it the
with
spiritual?
Strengths, weaknesses, all that in that inventory.
All of that. And the last part I would say here is, as you're creating your plan, if creating that plan is stressing you out, then take a step back, because that's not self-care.
Don't. That's really a good point. But it's helpful to have a plan, because you're right. Don't overdo it, because we have humans, we tend to overdo it.
Yeah, and we make these rigid plans.
Yeah, don't do that. But having something, even if you don't write it down, it's in your mind. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's some of the things I'm going to move forward with. Mm-hmm. That could be a plan too. It doesn't have to be this rigid writing down. But I do think but there is something about taking an inventory that we just have to talk about. you got to be honest, right? You got to be honest when you take an inventory. And as a matter of fact, when you're writing down your strengths, writing down your weaknesses, talk to somebody that you know and trust and are very close to. They'll tell you some of your weaknesses too. They'll ground you and keep you honest about it, right?
Yes, yes.
And that's tough sometimes, but that's another thing to think about.
Yeah, I like that.
Taking an inventory. Okay. Now, what are another thing to identify is what are you doing right now for self-care, right? That you could, is it working?
I like that.
Maybe,
that's a part of the inventory.
Yeah, I think this is part of inventory. I didn't even think of it that way. So what are you doing now for self-care? What do you do for self-care?
Oh, so many things. So many boundaries. I say no, my desk bike, putting things on my calendar, and taking the time that I need to spend with people, because it's not, for me, it's not always being isolated.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need to be around people for a little bit, people that I feel safe with and trust, and then I'm good for a few months.
For a few months. God, that's, woo, you really got it down. Yeah, but again, so knowing some of that stuff and where other things you could add in, because maybe you're doing something for self-care that turns out is not really helping all that much.
I'll tell you one more thing.
Oh.
I'll have a confession moment. I still let my kids, if they want to, sleep in the bed with me. And it's not for them, it's for me.
Well, and now your kids are still young. I mean, if you're still doing that when they're teenagers, okay, we gotta talk about that. But that's fine. I'll share my, like, for me personally too. You know, as a clinician, medical doctor, ever since I graduated medical school, I just get so many questions from family and friends.
Oh, I bet you do.
And I learned early on that I had to set boundaries there. You know,
every dinner party, everywhere. The moment you say, I'm a doctor.
Well, one of the things I learned is I stopped telling people what I did. It's like, why do we do that? We meet someone new, and one of the first things we say, well, what do you do? It's kind of silly. So, that's a boundary for me. And again, it's not that I don't help. I have to kind of engage in my pace, in my way. And sometimes I do say, no. That's not, you got to talk to your doctor, your own doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to remind a lot of people I'm not their doctor. All right. So that's your inventory, physical, mental, spiritual. What are you already doing? What you can improve on? Setting those boundaries, I think, is really important too. Be careful though. Boundaries should not become barriers. Right? Boundaries are simply it's a if you think about it in the physical, it's like a space that you're creating between this interaction that you don't need in your life, but it's not blocking necessarily that person off, right? It's just that when this person engages in this conversation, I have a boundary.
I like that.
And you're not gonna bring that conversation over into my area. That's what that is. Don't make it a barrier. You don't want to, it's not about, now that doesn't mean sometimes you got to lose friends sometimes. I don't know. That's a different story. But ultimately, boundaries, not barriers.
Well, I mean, if your friends won't respect the boundaries, then.
At some point.
Then that changes things.
We're human. I've lived life long enough where I've walked away from some friends.
Yeah.
It happens. And then you find new ones too. Woo, we're really getting into this. Who would have thought self-care would have been all this?
Again, outside the box, self-care.
Yeah.
So let's talk about nutrition.
Yes.
That's the nutritional component of self-care. And it's really about finding ways to make eating healthy easy for yourself.
Yeah. Because eating healthy has to be at the top of the list.
It has to be, it starts with food. But what I'm saying is making it easy, because so many people are stressed out by all of these nutritional things. Eat this, don't eat that, blah, blah, blah.
Organic,
blah, blah, blah.
non-GMO. And then you see the price for some of them. And
Right. So it's really thinking about taking an inventory of the things that you're eating and what you can maybe add in the things that you know, like hands down, are not helping you to be the better version of yourself,
Right.
and then trying to moderate those foods.
Right. And I we talk about the 80-20 rule.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good self-care rule for eating. 80% plant-based, 20% lean protein.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a good strategy.
Right. So starts with food, but as we also talk about, Dr. Crystal, because of our food chain, our soil conditions, I always say this: a tomato today is not the same nutritional tomato it was 200 years ago.
We do know that.
Right. The lycopenes and the minerals in that tomato are way diminished than what they should be.
We don't allow the fruit or vegetables to have their natural course of ripening anymore.
They pick now right before ripening because they're going to ripe a little bit, but tomatoes are supposed to be real deep red and really at that what a lot of people would consider, oh, that's a bad tomato.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad tomato.
That's a good tomato.
Yeah. So how we grow them, the soils, how we harvest food,
yes.
We have a gap. It's a nutritional gap. You agree?
Yeah, obviously. And so we have to fill those gaps. And you usually fill those in with different add-ins. A multi-nutrient is a great starting space if you're looking for a way to just enhance what you are already receiving from your food.
Yeah. So for me, I'll give you my top 4.
Okay.
I consider I hate saying top 4 because there's actually more, but you got to keep the list kind of, if you add too many things into the foundational list, it gets kind of diluted, right? So you got to so right off the bat, good high quality multivitamin, hands down. Think of the multivitamin in terms of self-care as the basic building blocks of a healthy you.
I like that.
That's what it is, right? Get those building blocks, right?
Yes.
And food alone. I know a lot of you are thinking, but I eat so well and I'm organic and I do the 80-20. I get it. I still think there's a gap, and I still think at least a high quality multivitamin. That's right. Number 1 for me.
Okay.
Right? And then number 2, probiotic.
Gut health.
Only as healthy as your gut.
Yeah. I mean, well, our environment, there's so many things that's helping to or hurting the diversity of the gut bugs, and so we need to make, and we're not eating the foods that will help to nourish those bugs that's there. That's the prebiotic foods. That's the fibers and the onions and the all those good prebiotics.
So you're eating those good foods. You then take on a daily basis a good probiotic, and it does need to be daily. We get this question a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Do I really need to take a probiotic every day? Because am I not like building up those levels? Turns out you're not really. What the point of that daily probiotic is those healthy bacteria in there are producing and metabolizing on a daily basis in a healthy way for you. Mm-hmm. So you want to take those every day, the probiotics. Mm-hmm. Number 3 for me is omegas, omega-3s, EPA, DHA.
Yep.
It's not just total omegas, that's important, but you got to look at that label and make sure you're getting the right amounts of EPA,
helping
DHA.
To manage inflammation in the body.
Manage inflammation, the common denominator.
Brain health, heart health.
All age-related diseases.
Yes.
We're throwing a lot of little tidbits at them right now. And then for me, number 4, CoQ10. Now,
I like that.
Your list.
Cell health. Go. Wow, I'm just trying. As you were going through your list, I'm thinking, what am I taking? Curcumin, turmeric extract.
Absolutely.
I love turmeric. I love that with ginger. Let's see. I think you covered the foundation. That's really the only other one. Magnesium.
Magnesium, yes.
Oh, how could I forget magnesium?
Yeah, and keep in mind, like a multivitamin will give you some of that.
Yeah.
But in some cases, you may need more. So like a standalone vitamin D, vitamin K, magnesium, all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and when you think about self-care, I also think about challenges that we deal with. And so maybe your self-care nutritional regimen is something targeted specifically for you. Like I know for me, I take something for my eyes.
Of course. That's the personalization
So that's
part of it.
how I customize it
Yeah.
for myself. I take things to help with blood flow.
Absolutely.
So I take pine bark
Pine bark
for
extract.
that.
Yep. The foundation. Here's my thought on that too, though. If don't skip out on the foundation though, a good multi, the probiotic, because from that foundation you can then build up some of those more personalized things. If all you're doing is taking supplements to cover, say, eye care, and that's all you're doing, you're missing out on so much more.
That's true.
So start with the foundation and build up.
That's true. And if you're not sure, Life Extension has a team of wellness specialists for free.
You can call them for free.
Help you to build your regimen as well as give you suggestions for those add-ins.
Yeah. So that was a lot. Self-care is critical. It's for everyone. It's not just things that consume time.
And it's not just for the month of love. We have to love each other ourselves.
She was determined to get this in.
All year round. I got it in.
I removed it from the script.
It's in.
She got it in. Yeah, self-care is really daily, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
Daily things that you do that are deliberate. You deliberately do or don't do for your own wellness on a daily basis. That's self-care. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Take those inventories. You got to do all that stuff, but find that thing, find that moment to take care of yourself. You gotta love yourself. Right. We actually have over at Life Extension, we have a health hub.
We do.
Right. So lifeextension.com, when you get on that homepage, you can see Health Hub, right?
Yes, you will see a link for Health Hub. You will find the Live Foreverish podcast, wellness blogs, LE Live shows, health quizzes.
Yep, all that. And when you're there at lifeextension.com, because you guys are an awesome audience, you go ahead and shop for some of those foundational nutrients we mentioned, add them to your cart, and use the discount code LELIVE. LELIVE, LELIVE, and you'll get 10% off, $50 or more, and free shipping and handling, because Life Extension wants to thank you for being such an awesome audience.
That's right.
Great show.
Yes.
All right. Don't forget, we go live every Wednesday at 12 noon. So whatever channel you watch us on, because we go live across the board, hit that subscribe, ring that bell, click the thumb up. Yeah, all of that.
Press interested.
Yeah, so you always know when we're going live Wednesdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. I'm Dr. Mike.
I'm Dr. Crystal.
Thanks for watching.